I have a confession to make. I lost control in the most wonderful way. Today we are going to be talking about surrender and about power of surrender and miracles that are happening in this space. And it's probably no coincidence if you are joining me today, because if you watch this streaming, chances are that your life is going to get so much better just because of this, and of course applying some of those things we will be talking about. So very warm welcome to all of you who are choosing to join us this Saturday. As every second Saturday, we are always joining you to bring you value, to contribute to your life, to talk about things that matter. And this Saturday there is no others, no, what is that? No. Well, we are going ahead with the streaming as well. I was just doing meditation before this session and I'm just feeling so cozy and I just wish to stay in it for longer. But anyway, hopefully the peace is going to travel over to you wherever you are. And I want to welcome all of you who are joining us right now. So very brief introduction. My name is Lucia Hoxa and I am a fertility mindset coach. Have been working with women for past 20 years and I'm very pleased to say that I'm still not bored and I'm still fascinated with all my work, but most importantly I'm fascinated by you, like you as a human beings, by every single one of you being so unique and challenged, and every single time I have a chance to contribute to you, to talk to you, to get to know your world and know your story, I must say that I'm leaving with a big bow, because it's very interesting. We meet people all the time, and I certainly do meet a lot of people, so forgive me those of you who I sometimes don't click the names and the faces. It's just there's so many people I meet, and what I really remember is the energy. But what I'm trying to say with this is that we meet a lot of people all the time, and the truth is we often have no idea what is the story behind this particular person. They might be looking like very put together type of person. They might look like they are all over the place, but we don't really know the reason behind it. So all I'm trying to say is that I bow to all of you, and especially those of you who are on this journey towards the motherhood, but not only that, on journey towards bettering your life, to questioning those questions like, how can I step up as a human being, how can I feel better, wake up and experience life with much more joy. Those of you who are interested in personal development, in asking yourself those questions and then actively are seeking the support, from all sorts of sources. We are very lucky these days. There is so much great stuff out there, and one of those things I believe that I'm offering to women all over the world. So welcome. Really happy to have you here. Today's subject is one of the subjects is one of the favorite things I love to talk about. Why? Because I experienced it in my life, and I still am experiencing it and applying it to my life. And I work with my clients who are experiencing it in their lives in different forms, in variations of it. And I always get mind blown how much this stuff works and how beautifully it works. It's almost like a physics. It works. Sometimes not straight away, with a little delay, but it just works, and it's such a beautiful process that takes something, but is something is amazing is on the other side. So welcome again, all of you. If you wanna comment, guys, or just say hello or send me a little heart, I always appreciate it. You have no idea how much joy I get from those little hearts, like running around here. So, you know, if you want to give me extra smile on the face, please, you know, do so. Or even tell us if you are watching us live or on a replay. If you are somewhere in the UK where there is a 1 o'clock, just past 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the chances are we are, or you are watching us live. If you are watching us from a replay, just put in a comment hashtag replay so we know. And also let us know what country you are joining us from, because I know you're coming from all over the place. And I know some of you guys are joining us from US, and some of you already wrote to me if I can move the times so you can get some sleep on Saturday morning. But, you know, unfortunately, this is the only time I have, so I will continue with these times. But the good news is that you can watch the replay, and you can even send me a personal message if you have any questions or anything I can support you with in case you will lose a chance to watch us live. So, I started this streaming with a very honest sentence, which is very true, where I shared with you that I have a confession to make. That I have lost control in the most wonderful way. With no arguing, no resisting, no holding back, no trying to push things forward, no, none of that. And it happened to me in several times in my life. And this is exactly what I want to talk about. It is actually about ecstasy, and I dare to use that word, big word, ecstasy of surrender. So what is surrender, guys? If you want to put in the comments, like, what do you hear when you hear surrender? Just that word. Because for those people who are not on a journey through personal development, I remember this kind of sentence or this kind of word meant for me this. You know, like in a war, like you have no other option, you're defeated. That's how we used to link the word surrender in the past. But for those of us who are on a personal development journey, the chances are that the concept of surrendering you already heard about, and that it already means something significantly different to this, to giving up, to losing something, a battle, or anything, whatever the concept is for you. So what actually means surrender is absolute opposite. When we are talking about surrender, we are talking about being able to flow with things freely, being able to, you know, give up the resistance, being able to fully accept and embrace, and I mean embrace what is right now, whatever it is. Like, my dad's got a Parkinson's disease and last stages of it, and I remember when he was diagnosed years ago, I didn't know which way is it going to go, how fast, what does it mean. I went to make a documentary film in old people's home where there are, in England, where there are specifically people suffering of Parkinson's disease. And I tell you guys, it was a big hit, because what I saw there was what I'm going to be facing in just a few years' time, maybe earlier. And I tell you something, the concept of surrendering is very, very powerful concept, but sometimes it really, really takes something. Especially those things that we care about so much. Those things that we feel completely hopeless about. It can be journey towards motherhood, it can be disease of your father or mom. It can be something that you deeply, deeply care about, and it's not going the right way. Things how to go about the whole concept, and I will be talking a little bit more about it in a few moments, is to start small. Is to start small and really like trying it newly in the least expected situations. What I mean by that is, I remember I used to be a cheerleader. Believe it or not, I set up the cheerleading squad, first one in Czechoslovakia back in long time ago. I was 16. It was Slovakia actually and Czech Republic then. And I remember we went to Croatia to all these beautiful girls, you know, it was like amazing. It was our first like kind of, you know, holidays without parents, and it was like a group of us. And the of course, like the first night of we wanted to go to disco and like go and dancing. And I remember we booked the taxi, and there was one space we couldn't fit one of the girls in. Somehow we just counted it wrong, or I think it was 3 couldn't go at all or something. It's a long time ago. But why I'm sharing this is that I was already sitting in a taxi when I realized that. And I was watching a reaction of one of my friends who was outside of the taxi, who just been told that she won't fit in. And do you know what, guys? I still remember her reaction. And to me, it was inspiring. She wasn't angry. She didn't give us this cold shoulder, like I was left out, like, how dare you, or something like that. You know, she could have, there was various things, you know, that you know, she just, you know, she just stayed behind, but she was completely fine about it. And she wanted to go, but she was completely fine about it. And I don't know why, I still remember. And I was like, there was something inspiring about it. And remember when we were in 16, disco and, you know, going out was a big deal. You know, that was a big deal at the time. So yeah, that's a little, you know, example of surrendering. And, you know, she didn't have an awful time. She actually spent a wonderful time, like watching the, you know, stars and having actually great company with one of the boys who left behind. Maybe that was the reason. I don't know. Dada, if you're watching, I'm talking about you. You probably won't remember. I have to send you a message after this one. But, you know, like, concept of surrendering is, of course, much larger, bigger concept. And we can apply it in so many ways. Now, it really is a grace of letting go in the right moment, in the right way. So, a lot of times when we have something we really care about, we have a tendency to hold on. You know, specifically when I was on my journey towards motherhood, I could not imagine I'm not going to be a mother. That's the cold, fat, honest fact. Like, I could not picture it. I didn't want to picture it. I didn't even want to go there. Yet the fear of that was so big. How do you let go of something that you really care about? Is it even possible? Is it even possible? Well, for me, if I'm very honest, it was possible when I started practicing. When I started flirting about how much more peaceful way of being, whatever is happening around me, would look like. When I started practicing this, I started seeing nothing is permanent, guys. Not happiness, no sorrow, no grief. Nothing is permanent. Not the good things, not the bad things. But when I started noticing it, when I started practicing it, and we will be talking a little bit more about it, how, in a minute. What I started experiencing it is these moments of ecstasy, what I call like inside the peace, inside of this technique of surrendering. And it was maybe just the moments, you know, the glimpses first. It was just glimpses, little moments. Then when I started practicing more and being aware and, you know, really work deeper with myself, it was more of a moments that started joining together like a pieces that created like more chunks of these moments. Do you understand? Like, it's not something like you work on yourself and you fixed, you're sorted, and it never comes back, the fear, the word, the doubt, the worry, the whatever it is. But, you know, it's about extending those periods of contentment. So they are actually larger chunks of those in your everyday life. Does it make sense, guys? Yeah? And when I'm talking about, like, let me know in the comments or send me a thumbs up. I know a few of you are watching live. And we can apply this to anything. It's actually very, very good and very healthy. Because a lot of times we are expecting from our life, you know, when someone asks you, like, are you happy? It's like, that's a big question. I have no idea. Like, these days I probably value more like contentment rather than happiness. Like, what is happiness anyway? And if I would honestly answer this question, I would say yes, I do have a moments of joy, moments of richness, moments of experiencing something deep and something that means to me, that I think in that moment, like, my God, I'm feeling so good right now. This is so amazing, you know, right now. For different reasons, of course. Part of it is my kids, like that's bliss right there. Not all the time. I'm alone with them at the moment. I have no nannies. I have a husband away, so I can tell you about that. Not all the time, but yes, it's about the moments. Very important. So, question: how many of you overthink things, like thinking about things a lot, like worry or self-doubt, like whatever it is, like what will happen, what is future holding, what about my job, shall I go this way, that way, what decisions to make? You know, how many of you have this going on in their lives? Like, I definitely do. I definitely do. And if you're anything like human being, I bet you anything I'm not alone, and you do too. I must say it's much less than I used to be. It's much less. My mind is actually fairly quiet these days. Not always, but my God, it's so much quieter than years ago. And I actually rarely appreciate this, but when I think about it, yes, it is. But if we are like average human being, the tendency, that natural tendency for us is to think a lot and, you know, overthink things. And guess what? It's not serving us, because if you're anything like me, most of the thoughts are the same old, you know, same old stuff, nothing new, like all the time, like same old thoughts are going through our heads. So just for a moment, imagine how your life would look like if you don't have that. If you are not in this space of overthinking. You know, if you just have a capacity to let go and surrender. Just imagine that for a moment, what that would look like. And then, you know, ask yourself, like, how would it be if I only have opportunity to flow in life freely? So, you know, like when there is no seat on that train or in that taxi, I just, you know, find another way, or feel flexible about changing my plans without, you know, feeling resentful about about this situation. You know, how would it be like fully accepting your mom-in-law? You know, her flaws and criticism, you know, acceptance of another human being, you know, that husband who seem not to care because he's always at work or never listen. You know, how it would be like for you if you can just not to be hurt by it, whatever that is, your it. So how surrendered are you really in life? How would you say, like from 1 to 10, how surrendered in this kind of way do you actually live your life? And very valid question now. I almost hear you ask me this. Is that, Lucia, but how do I know when to surrender and when to actually go and, you know, fight for something that I really care about? And if you ask me that question, because it just came to me, because I feel you guys, I'm not just talking to the camera. Well, that would be a very good question to ask, because that question I was asking a lot of times myself. And there is a dance between the two. And I use the word fight, but it's not really, although my chapter in my book called, Fight with Love Like a Lioness. But what I mean by it is that there is a right moment to surrender with grace about those things we don't have influence on, in that moment at least, and can do nothing about. And there is a fine line, and on the other side, between the moment where it's time to act, time to pick up the phone, like now. Yesterday, guys, I was sharing with you in my life that the launch of the book that I was doing recently, it was really difficult because there was so much going on in my personal life with actually 3 of my main people, closest people, being in a hospital as this launch was happening. And one of them was in a critical state, and I had to, that day I was driving alone with kids at the back of the car, and I had to act in that moment, that particular moment, to make a phone call to make sure that she's taken care of, because I was far away and so on. It was not an easy situation. There was definitely time to act, because without it something could have gone very, very wrong. So that's the example for that. But then after me like exhausting all the options how I can support my sister, then it was time to let go and to surrender to whatever will be. And to be honest, like that evening I didn't have a feeling that I've done enough, or that I didn't even know whether it's going to make any difference. I didn't left thinking, okay, she's fine now, I can sleep peacefully. But I went to sleep that night, and I surrendered to be able to do that, to be able to sleep. And surely enough, next morning I realized that it has been taken care of, and I was so happy when I heard that. So does that make sense, what I'm talking about? Is it giving you something? I would love to hear what is opening up for you right now. The concept of surrendering is very, very powerful, and we can use it in so many ways. You know, there is this dynamic in relationships where it's almost like a lot of marriages, like there are couples being in a war, you know, when it's like meh, 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 and it's about winning and losing. What would it look like if we surrender in an argument? I had a call with one of you recently who is saying, is in this position of you know, being alone with 2 kids, and her husband is away, and there is no intimacy, there is no connection, there's no appreciation. There's a lot of essential stuff missing in this relationship from her perspective. And you know, she recently just, you know, had an eye on someone, and is being pulled to be with this other man. And anyway, obviously it's all confidential, but and there's the, you know, what would it look like, the concept of surrendering in this one, I don't know. But for sure, if we want to find the answers, we need to find them from within, not through the space of ego, not through the space of, you know, like, I'm right, you are the bastard, you know, I'm gonna punish you because I'm hurting so much. This is not the way, guys. It will feel good for a little moment, probably, but long term, you will hurt yourself. And you probably know this anyway, but for that little moment, it feels good. Do you know what I'm talking about? I've done it. So, what stands in the way of surrender? In a moment, I will be talking about 3 types of surrendering. So let me start by, well, actually, let's talk about what stands in the way of surrender. Now, most of the time is when we care about something like too much. Like concept of surrender, we don't even want to hear that. You know, we even get like angry when someone says, oh, just, you know, let it go. It makes us angry because what do you mean let it go? I really want to have a child. Like, you have 2. You should shut up. Yeah, so this is what, from my experiences in various situations, not just, I just use the motherhood as an example because that's a very good one. Because we have influence on some things, but actually pretty much is in the hands of God, this one. So, you know, what is in a way is our attachment. Our, you know, I want this, is the grip we are holding, is what is making us to feel like we can't let go because this is too precious to let go of. But now I'm going to tease you a little bit, okay? If you want to have orgasm, right? You need to surrender, and you? Like, try to remember last time you've been intimate act, inside of the intimate act, you know? Because if you don't surrender, like, not much is going to happen, is it? Especially to us girls. Would you agree? Please send me a thumbs up for this one. I mean, really. It's true. It's true. You need to let go. You need to relax. You need to trust. You need to surrender in order to have this form of ecstasy also. So there you go. Example of surrendering. Or if you want to have a good night's sleep, like for those of you who've been suffering of insomnia, you know what I'm talking about. It's terrible when you are being in bed with all those thoughts going around your head and you just can't sleep, tossing and turning. Like, for us to be able to have a good quality sleep, we definitely need to surrender. There, another example straight away. You need to surrender if you want to have a good laugh, don't you? Otherwise, you would be just judging yourself about the way you laugh, or, you know, thinking like, oh, is it too much? Or should I laugh a little bit less, a little bit not so loud? You know, if you want to have a good laugh, like honest laugh, not like polite one, like proper laugh, or cry. You definitely need to surrender if you want to have a good cry. Definitely need to surrender and let go of, you know, how you look like in front of the person or people you cry in front of. And even if you cry on your own, you still need to surrender and let go of whatever thought. I need to be strong. It's the only way to survive. I can't afford this. Surrendering is really powerful concept. In actual fact, without surrendering, there is no creation being possible. No creation. Surrendering is really giving us opportunity to clear up the space. You know, after a good cry, there is always this emptiness. After exhaustion sometimes. But there's always something gets cleared up. It's like tears are washing away something. Just giving you a little moment to think about your experience with surrender. Yet, it's very hard for most of us to surrender. When you think about it, we have a tendency to hold on because there is this fake perception about us having to be in control at all cost. Like having a control. It's almost like, and I'm one of those people, by the way, it's very strong in me, that I need to be like organized. Everything needs to be clean. I have to be in control. I have to have my bills sorted, my, you know, like everything. Like my kids, control, food cooked, everything. That is the comfort zone. And it's okay, like of course we need to have some kind of systems and so on, but it's when we feel highly uncomfortable being out of control, when we are not able to surrender, because sometimes life throws at us things, oh my God, when we are completely out of control. In fact, there is, in reality, guys, there is so few things that we have control over. Really. And whole life is just set of coincidences based on what frequency we vibrate on. We attract them all. So with that, we are actually responsible for all that is happening in our lives. Like all of it. Which is a good news. Bit scary, but good news. Because you can turn it around. So, I'm going to now briefly talk about 3 types of surrender, okay? Now, first one is maybe most obvious, at least for me. And it's called I call it trial by fire. And it's really like everything is coming down. Did you experience that in life? Everything is coming down on you. Like, it's almost like, what else you're going to throw at me? Like, everything is like, shit really hit the fan and it's everywhere. So, you know, that's when it's like a snowball kind of moment where things are rolling. You know, like you're in a terrible relationship and you are just about to be fired from work. You have concerns about where you're going to pay the mortgage. Your health is going down. You're feeling absolutely exhausted. And that's the moment where you need to surrender. Because there is actually no other way. You see that it's impossible to fight it all and it's not getting you anywhere. I even had a friend who was going right that direction in her relationship and then she had a car accident. Luckily, she's all fine now. But yeah, there was some problems with her back and it wasn't, you know, good news. But, you know, that was the moment where she actually hit that moment. And she just surrendered. Things started beautifully evolving from that moment on. Another type of surrender is, so the first type was really when the crisis is an opportunity, yeah, when there's no other option, but the actual crisis is the opportunity, but not the only opportunity, yeah. Second one is surrender anxiety and fear. This is a big one for the Western world, okay, big one, like huge. And this is when we are in a situation where we are totally out of control. Like, you know, I had one of the clients who've been scared of flying, and you know that is very much out of control. Like, you are not in a cockpit, and even if you would be, like, you probably wouldn't do much there. Like, most of us are not sure how to fly the airplane, but you know, like, the process of surrendering in situations like this is so important, because, you know, imagine, like, without her having the guidance and capacity to surrender, which is of course the process that we went through together, she would never ever even, like, she would kill her husband, like, knowing that he bought a flight for her holidays, because she, in front of her, she would have not just that flight, guys. It's not only about that flight, but all those worries about, like, months in advance. Imagine you're going for a holiday, and all you do is, like, worry about how you are going to die on a plane, because for her it was a reality. So surrender to anxiety and fear is a huge one. And I'm not talking about flying. Some of us need to surrender to fear and anxiety in every single day. Every single day. Do you know how many people, and they don't talk about it, they are not visible, find it even hard to get out of the house? Like, go to grocery store, or, you know, finding a job. Especially after the corona periods, like, a lot changed inside of our minds, like, and then, you know, so surrender to fear and anxiety, very, very important for quality of our lives, in our daily lives. And third type of surrendering is accepting what is. Yeah, I love to talk about the concept of accepting and embracing. So instead of, you know, trying to fight things and people who, and going with this preconceived notion about, like, this is how things should be, and, you know, instead of that, like, expectations, that's very connected, yeah, is to actually being able to create a space for something new. Something new that arises. You know, when you feel like you're already going in that mode of, you know, resistance, the pressure. So when we are pressing something, there is a pressure back, always there is a pushback. So no wonder if we have something, want to have a child, and we really go for it, but go for it in that, without the freedom of attachment, is very possible that we will get that backlash, right? If there is no freedom around it, we are going to get that backlash back. And so, you know, accepting what is very, very important concept that, again, is a practice. It doesn't happen overnight, but really surrender means that we have a capacity to flow with that. So, you know, there is a lot to talk about concept of surrender, but I'm just going through my notes, like looking down whether there is anything to important that I want to still mention to you. Well, I can definitely say that ever since I discovered the joy and the concept and ecstasy in surrender, I do feel that my life's got kind of softer qualities to do with the feminine as well, with my feminine side. Is so much more enjoyable. It's almost like bringing yourself back to more joy in life because you create the space for that. And you know, ecstasy comes with little things, like really. Like if you don't know where to start, I promise you that I will have little exercises for you. So this is a very, very simple exercise where you can practice surrender. You ready? And maybe you can even do it here and now with me. So glass of water, or this lovely tea with lemon and ginger that I drink every day. You know, if you just take a moment to like, water is very precious on a planet, right? Drinking water is very, very precious on our planet. But we don't think about it that way, right? We just drink when we are thirsty. But what if you take a little moment where you fully conscious of the process of drinking water, and actually water being wet and precious and being like really the holy thing that is going to nourish you. What if you take the next sip of water in that kind of way? Shall we try together? That was nice. Yeah, so starting with the little things, like really as simple as drinking water, like raising your consciousness, surrendering to the feeling of ecstasy, joy. We had a storm the other day. My God, I loved it. I sent my husband a message saying, baby, there is a storm here. And he said, go on a balcony and enjoy. He knows me. He knows I love the storms, especially in summer. What about a fun factor of surrendering, guys? I wanna tell you something. Like, have you ever been in a store, in a supermarket, where there's a huge queue and everybody's very tense, right? Like several queues, and you're like watching that one is moving faster, you know, Murphy's rules. And oh my God, like try next time when you're in this crowded store waiting to get paid with lots of people in front of you, just try to let the person behind you go in front of you. Just try to offer it to them. It's amazing. It's amazing. It releases so much tension. Like, I want you to enjoy it, because in the moment you do that, watch the expression on their face. Like, first of all, they will be in utter shock that you are not the one who is pushing and, you know, nerving and, you know, like doing whatever nervous people do in a queues. And then he will probably, or that person will probably look at you like you're some kind of saint or something. They will probably even question like what's behind it, like, you know, what do you want to get out of it or something. And once they find out there is absolutely nothing, they will probably look at you like you're a saint. Enjoy it, guys. This is the part of surrendering. This is part of letting go. Like, have fun with it. That's the important thing. Like doing something new, fresh, something that nobody else does. In these situations where, you know, I remember when my uncle died. I know funerals are not exactly the good place to joke in, but you know, like he was the one who used to love to laugh. This is years ago, and I really wanted this funeral to be celebration of his life. And to that, I needed to surrender to the boxing, like what funerals are like in Slovakia, you know, like this sad thing where you're supposed to be sad and nothing else. And it lifted up the mood so greatly. You know, we played this game, like 3 things you remember about Uncle Victor. It was, you know, like you really can create your life if you just allow yourself to get out of the box. Surrender to joy is not about permanently stop thinking about your problems or sorting out the issues. Of course, you know, life goes on and we need to carry on, and it's important we do so. But it's about having a moment where you allow yourself to have a gaps in between and trying to loosen those gaps. And connected with surrender, like I would say the cousin of it, is actual trust. You know, sometimes, did you ever experience that you have a problem and you really didn't know even where to start, you know, sorting it out? And then when you surrendered, or when you put yourself in a place where you've been able to, you know, breathe freely around it, then things started like coming together and solving themselves out somehow. That's the flow you want to be in. Creating the space for that, and for that we need to trust, right? Because at the beginning there's no guarantee. So the more you trust, the more you go with it, the more you experience it in your own on your own, you know, in your own skin, the more you are able to, you know, to kind of go with it. You know, in Sanskrit, surrender is samprada, or samprada, and is the ability to give yourself wholly to something. Like, I love that, because it really, what energetically it feels like for me as well, like it's almost like, and it's light, it's like almost like something is lifting up, the heaviness is lifting up, yeah, so you feel light. It is really a secret to life, like concept of surrendering, and of course it's like a lot of concepts, but you know, this is really, no kidding, one of my most precious, you know, concept that I love to talk about, and I talk about it in my book that just has been released, and I will talk about it more in more depth and, you know, more juicy way, you know, during my summit that is coming towards the end of the July. We are going to be holding the summit together with all my 14 authors from the book I released. So very welcome to join us. I don't have a link to join yet, but I just want to throw it out there that this is going to be happening, and it's going to be amazing few days with lots of speakers, and I'm so excited about it all. So, you know, the title of this this whole thing I called, you know, Power of Surrendering, the space we create the miracles, and this is really the secret. Like, inside of this space of surrendering, and I hope I gave you enough examples so you can, you know, relate some of it to your life, because that's important, not me talking here and someone going, oh, it kind of makes sense. No, like, it's about relating it to your life. The concept of surrendering is really creating a space, the platform for something new to arise, whether it is a baby that you dream about, or the dream job, or even the solution for the situation that you see the dead end to at the moment. Concept of surrendering is very, very important, and it is a process that is so valuable that it is actually causing miraculous in your life. So with saying that, I would like to wish you have a great weekend. Surrender as much as possible, mainly into the joy of life and the preciousness of it all. And without, I don't think I have to mention it, but I will. If this is something that, you know, you feel that you gain a value from and you found it valuable, and I know some of you have been watching here all the way, so it's well done, you guys. I hope that you got a lot of value from it. If you want to relate it to your own life and say, Lucia, it did make a sense, a lot of theory, I feel there is a lot of value in it, I just don't know how to apply it in my situation, in my life, please reach out to me, because that's important. That's important. Taking, you know how I was talking, like there's a moment to surrender and there's a moment to take an action. If you're feeling like the pull, please don't wait. Like some of you are waiting, like, oh, 2 years I was thinking of reaching out to you. Please don't wait, because if you feel that pull, the chances are it's your intuition talking to you. So reach out to me. I'm here to love you, to support you, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time again. Thank you, guys. Enjoy surrendering to life, to the joy of it, and to love within us.